Hi everyone, Gary Francione here for the Abolitionist Approach. When you are advocating for veganism as a moral baseline, welfarists often say, well, you weren't vegan all your life, you weren't born vegan. And their argument is in essence that if you weren't born vegan, if you haven't been a vegan all your life, then you consumed animal products, and therefore you have no standing to argue that other people have a moral obligation to go vegan now. So when they're not vegan and they say, well, I'm on a journey and I'm a reducitarian or I practice meatless Mondays, that's okay because they're on a journey and you can't say otherwise because you consumed animal products, so you can't maintain that veganism is a moral baseline. Now, folks, that's just silly. Think about that argument in a human context. Let's imagine that John has been a relentless sexist all his life. He has been absolutely horrible. He's said and done all sorts of immoral things because he believed that women were not full members of the moral community. One day, the light goes off, and John realizes that John's been sexist and that his sexism is immoral. John stops being a sexist and starts promoting equality. Would we say to John, you can't do that because you were a sexist, and therefore other people who are sexist, they're on a journey, and we've got to respect that. We can't say that what they're doing is wrong when they're engaging in sexism because you were a sexist once. Would anybody make such an argument? And the answer is absolutely not. Indeed, most of us would find such an argument to be offensive. But where animals are concerned, all of a sudden, the rules change. And the people who change the rules are, ironically, the animal advocates, who say, well, when it comes to animals, when it comes to animal exploitation, if you engaged in animal exploitation, then you have no standing to criticize anyone else who is engaging in animal exploitation. You can't say it's wrong. I'm sorry, that simply doesn't work. The idea that it's acceptable to talk about journeys where animal exploitation is concerned, this idea that I'm on a journey, I'm uncomfortable about eating animals and I'm moving towards veganism, but I'm on a journey. The bottom line is, it's either right or wrong. If you accept that it's wrong, if you believe that animal exploitation is wrong, you have a moral obligation to stop. To the extent that you continue on the journey, you are continuing to engage in animal exploitation. You are continuing to engage in conduct that you claim to accept as morally wrong. So I would suggest to you that the next time someone says to you, why are you advocating for veganism as a moral baseline? You weren't born vegan. Use this argument. Ask them to focus on that argument in a human context. Ask them about someone's a racist. Has been a racist for many years. All of a sudden the light goes off and the person realizes racism is very, very wrong. Would we ever say to that person, you can't argue for equality. You were a racist. You have got to support the journeys that other racists are on as they move towards non-racism. You can't say that racism is wrong. You can't say that people have a moral obligation now to stop engaging in racism. You can't do that. We would never say that in the context of racism or sexism or other forms of human discrimination. We shouldn't say it where animals are concerned. That's fundamentally speciesist. For more information about veganism, go to our website, howdoigovegan.com. For information on the abolitionist approach, go to abolitionistapproach.com. Thank you for listening.